episode is brought to you by the future. Oatly had experts look into the future, which is totally possible, by the way, and then report back about what things will taste like when we get there. Learn about bold ideas, the dawn of decaf, and the rise of fibre in the Future of Taste report on Oatly.com.
Welcome back to the coffee show, everyone. I'm Kirk Pearson here in Los Angeles, California, LA. The city of angels, with none other than Andrew Sinclair from Madlab Coffee Roasters.
Hello.
Thanks for having me in your facility.
I'm glad to have you in my facility.
It's you and I connected on the internet. I think it first started when I interviewed Scott Rao.
Oh, it probably was.
That was probably my first introduction to like people being mad at me on the internet. It got a lot worse after that for different reasons, as we'll soon go over. But
dude, poor Scott, like
he opens his mouth and
everything he does, there's somebody that sits there and goes, "Well, actually."
Well, I'll put it to you like this: anytime he opens his mouth and there's someone that like has just a thought of disliking him, it's like Emperor Palpatine's in the air, just in their ear, just saying, "Let the hate flow through you." Which I always find funny and enjoyable. He invites a little bit odd on himself, let's be honest, but, you know, I love Scott, and I think...
Dude, I love it. When you meet Scott, you're like, I can't hate you. I just want to hug you.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, listen, me and Scott don't agree on everything. Like, and that's fine. But I don't need to make a Reddit thread about it.
Well, maybe you do.
No. Oh, maybe. Well, okay, so I have a bone to pick, actually, with Scott. Okay, so I went for a vacation in Europe, 2 weeks. Told you about this. Mm-hmm. While I was gone, like, Scott started getting, like, all sorts of, like blah, blah, blahs and well, actuallys, because he posted that little espresso vessel thing.
The
right?
crema separator.
Right, and everyone's like, well, actually, that's plastic. And he's like, okay, well, guys, okay, everybody calm down. And so I sent him a message. I'm like, dude, you should just make a t-shirt that says, like, I fought with Scott Rao on the internet and I have, like, fun doing it. It was something like that. And then I see, like, these 3 bubbles and Scott's like, that's amazing. And then he puts a post up about that shirt. It's like, Andrew Sink had, like, this best idea of... All of a sudden, my DMs are filled and I'm on vacation. And my wife was like, no coffee stuff while we're away. Stay off Instagram. And my phone's just like, bing, 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 bing. Mm-hmm. But I gotta say, I would wear that shirt.
Yeah, I'd wear one too. I'd probably buy multiple. Maybe you should manufacture it. There's an industry in that for you.
No, I don't want another project.
So Los Angeles. This is the last city I'm stopping on in my travels in America.
Is it?
It is, yeah. So I'm going home on the weekend, but it's got to be. One thing that surprises me about America is how radically and unbelievably different each city is. Mm-hmm.
It's called freedom.
It's called freedom, baby. But you know, starting like the first city I came to in America was Chicago. Chicago gets a really bad rap in the media, I guess, everywhere because people, you know, think it's just, you know, shootings happening left, right, and center.
Oh, I thought you were going to say because of the bear.
Yeah, well, are you talking about Caleb Williams?
No, I'm talking about the TV show The Bear.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, I haven't even watched The Bear. Oh. But it's a deliberate decision because I think it'll trigger me. We'll see. Maybe I'll come around to it. But just my lived experience there was just completely at odds with what, you know, people describe it to be. And then Boston, I absolutely love Boston.
Oh, yeah. Tasty Burger.
And then if you go to New York, you know, people say it's, you know, after Mamdani got elected, you know, people paint it in such a bad light, and it's such an amazing experience being there.
It's always going to be chill. New Yorkers are like, they're going to be mad, but like they're chill people. Like you'll be walking down the street, they're like, yo, you want to hang? And you're like, actually, yeah, I do.
That's been my experience entirely.
Yeah.
People are so friendly there. And, you know, same with the South, you know, Nashville and Texas, like it's just completely at odds with what I've been told about it my whole life. And then, you know, Los Angeles, I think, has been incredibly welcoming, and, you know, people make out like California's like a communist state all across the world.
Give us time.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, the people here have been very welcoming as well, and you know, I know it's a cliche given everything that, like all the content on the internet about the World Cup and stuff like that, but that is so entirely true about America. Like, not every country's perfect. I'm not saying you do everything well, and you've got your own issues. Australia does as well, but the people here, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah. Americans are unbelievable people. I've absolutely loved it here.
Yeah, we're all just trying to chill for just a second. That's why America's so cool right now. We're like, all right, hey, everything is just kind of like all sorts of out of whack. Can we all just take just a second and just chill? That'd be great. And like Americans, I know it sounds crazy, the majority of us, we love to host people. Like the Scottish cruise in Boston.
Oh, bro.
Oh, dude, I have buddies calling me from Boston. They're like, dude, the Scottish people are here. We're having so much fun. Of course you are.
But that was I was in Boston when they were there, and they're wearing their kilts, and they've got these pouches on the front of them where they've got their knives attached to it as well.
Keep your snacks in there, yeah.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, you can really have.
Yeah.
Keep a bit of haggis,
Yeah.
whenever you need it.
I'm thinking like Funyuns,
But I did a DNA test last year because I thought I was Italian, right?
Okay.
And it was when I was on the It's Just Coffee podcast, and we unveiled my my DNA test. Turns out I'm like majority Scottish.
Oh, really?
I've got to go over there and.
So you're not Italian at all?
There's like an iota.
Oh, I mean, I guess that's enough to keep doing coffee.
Yeah. Not my qualified, but the coffee scene over here has been really interesting as well. And
Yeah.
let me start off by saying you and I were just talking about this in the car. Generally speaking, I find that US baristas are more knowledgeable than your typical Australian barista.
Yeah.
They know about roast profiles, origin, varietals, the capacity of the machine as well, like how the machine mechanics work. All these things I'm really surprised of. I don't think your typical Australian barista is kind of as informed on all those things as your typical American barista is my experience.
Yeah, it is true. We know more not because we know more. I think honestly, a lot of the reason is we work more and we have to figure things out when maybe things aren't, at 100%, if you know what I mean. Like, oh yeah, this right group has been out on this machine for like 2 months, so we need to figure out how to make this because, maybe there's not enough money. Maybe we don't have somebody in town that can, get to us and fix our equipment. That's like a huge issue here in LA. There are not enough machine technicians. So a lot of times, if there's broken equipment at our cafes, we just have to figure out how to live with it and make the best product possible with broken equipment. That's how a lot of LA has a lot of different kind of colloquial drinks. Like the Jerry Shot, we were talking about that. That comes from having broken batch brewers back in 2013. We just had to figure out how to make brew coffee without a batch brewer. But I think the other thing with American baristas, we have a lot of pride in serving our neighbors. We have a lot of pride, and we just really want to do the best job for our neighbors. One, maybe because the rest of the world isn't tipped, that could that could have a portion to do with it. But I think just Americans, we just have this pride of wanting to do a good job, and we want to be knowledgeable about the right things. Again, I was in Europe for 2 weeks. The weird thing that I encountered, the whole time I was there, I'd walk into a coffee shop, and that barista would be like, "Hi, welcome. You're about to have the best experience you've ever had in your life because we know everything, and we are the masters at this. We actually created everything you think you know, so you're welcome." It was this weird energy that I got. And a lot of me, I wanted to be really just impressed, going to some of these coffee shops and cafes in Europe, and I left feeling kind of gross. I felt gross in the sense of I'm walking in as a guest, okay? And the first thing that's coming at me when I'm walking into that shop is you're welcome that you're here right now. And we're happy to do this the way that it always should be. Funny enough, I ain't gonna name names because I'm not gonna get Scott Rout on the internet. Forget about that. I don't want that life for me. There's a lot of roasters in Europe that, multi-roasters out here use. I have better versions of their coffee here than I do at their home cafes in their own country.
Ooh, okay.
By their own people.
Ooh.
And it is by a long shot, not like a smidge, but by a long shot. Like, dude, I went to one cafe, well-known place. This girl, she's like really trying to dial in. And I'm watching her. And I'm like, oh, like what's going wrong? Is there something wrong with the grinder? It was a Malkinid grinder, so of course there's probably something wrong with it. It's a grind by weight. Let's not kid ourselves.
I thought you started trying to get Not Scott Round.
Oh, shit. Okay, yeah, well, listen, okay, Malkinid, fine. Your grind by weights annoy me. And listen, every other coffee professional out there will say the same things. We have days that we want to throw that grinder at the wall. We just do. There's nothing wrong with saying it. It's equipment stuff. She was struggling so much dialing in. She could not get it going. And I'm looking at the back of the grinder. I'm like, oh, it's not locked.
Oh, no.
And so I just, there you go.
Yeah.
She's like, thank you.
Thank goodness.
Right? And it's the knowledge that we're talking about. There was more reciting off of a script than there was this knowledge base. Went to one place and they were just giving us like, hey, this coffee comes from here. It's grown at this elevation. It's processed this way. Here's the name of the producer. Here's all these tasting notes about it. This is how we're brewing it. In the middle of that script, I asked a question just in the middle. I was just curious about something. And I kind of interrupted their kind of speech that they were giving, their barista comp routine that they were giving. And the person stopped and they sat there. Like, wait a minute, where was I at? What was the last thing I said? It's like, oh, you were talking about elevation. They're like, oh, okay, so anyways, so the elevation. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're just reciting a script. You're not actually sharing this personal encounter that you had with this coffee and discovering something that was unique to you about it. Whereas that's what we have here in the States. People just have their own unique experience with some other roaster's coffee, and they say, hey, this is actually the characteristics and the identity of this coffee that I like to share, that I like to pull out. Maybe I like to pull it this way or brew it that way or have this ratio or do this thing. There's this like freedom to create with that coffee, and you have to have that knowledge set to do all that.
So I guess it's probably not always a positive thing to give people this big elaborate script, right? You know,
No.
It's probably, you know, I think with fine dining, for example, let's say, and you know, I've not done a lot of it, you know, not made of money, but it is always better when it's that casual kind of feeling and it's not so clinical. And I think, you know, the people that can match that obviously elite level of flavor with you know, a flexible style of service that, you know, you adapt to the way that, I don't know, the guest is, sort of thing. Like you, typical American, you know, wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask. Like, you know what I mean? You got to kind of adapt to the climate and know how to deal with people. And
yeah, well, I think that too comes from being a tipped culture. We kind of have to, you know, kind of discover you. Like, oh, what do you want to talk about? What are you interested in? Because we're trying to get more money out of you. Let's just be honest. If you're a barista in America and you have a guest coming in, a lot of times your hospitality isn't coming from this genuine place. It's coming from this place of like, I hope you give me another $1 because I really would like to make rent and maybe have health care, right? But in the fine dining side of things, we try to carry that over to the coffee world. It just doesn't translate. And it doesn't translate because the setups that we have at our cafes and at our coffee shops, it's not the same setup as a fine dining place. Like you hear all the time people say like, oh, coffee needs to be taken as seriously as wine. I don't want coffee to be anything like the wine world. Have you met some of those people? They're not enjoyable people to be around.
you don't want it to become this kind of insufferable thing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like in a way, and I was talking to someone about this recently on the podcast, and sadly I feel like the future of coffee is there's going to be a lot less people working in cafes. Just because of the way, and it's not so much, it's not because that's what people want. It's that's the situation the current economic climate and system will create. Because there's wealth's getting so concentrated in the world.
Yeah.
And, inflation is kind of like a global phenomenon right now.
Don't remind me.
And, I just think all those things are conducive to the future of the coffee. Like, cafe owners themselves won't be able to afford to employ as many people. And it's particularly prevalent in Australia right now because we have this. Our minimum wage, generally speaking, is probably double what yours is.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, so it's a lot higher. But we also have free healthcare in Australia. We get taxed significantly more in Australia.
Jesus is real in Australia.
And from what you've described to me, which I'm sure we'll elaborate on throughout, is the common lifestyle for a barista working in America is, for lack of a better term, your quality of life is a lot lower than that of a barista in Australia. And that's because of the structures of the system around it.
That's why so many of y'all can take time to compete, because you can afford to take time off to actually practice doing things.
It's not all sunshine and roses, but generally speaking, what I just said is substantially true.
Yeah.
And that's not taking a shot at anyone. It's just kind of
no, y'all do make more money. I mean, it's very true. I mean, and it's I think that's the hard thing. When you talk about not just coffee in LA, but coffee in America, we're all trying our best. We're trying our best to give people a livable wage. We're trying our best to figure out healthcare. You know how hard it is to figure out healthcare if you don't have millions of dollars behind you, if you don't have private equity behind you as a brand. It is next to near impossible. I mean, when you talk even just payroll taxes in this state, I'd rather give that money to my crew members, but instead I got to give it to the government to get what? A high-speed rail that doesn't get built ever? It's a crock of shit a lot of times. I'd rather give that money to my crew. And trying to provide this livable wage while also trying to price coffee where it should be, but also where it could be, is also a delicate balance for our neighbors in our community, because in America versus I think other spots in the world, coffee is still seen as an affordable luxury. That is it's a part of kind of how we grew up. It's kind of ingrained in us in a different way, I feel. And so whenever you put something on your menu that's $12 for a pour over, you are going to have that guest that says, well, why? And I also think that goes to why American baristas are maybe a little bit more well-versed, because they have to explain why that price is that price. And they have to explain what makes this coffee special, what makes it worth you spending more than $1 at Buc-ee's or 7-Eleven, which, by the way, Buc-ee's.
Oh, greatest thing that's ever happened to me in my life.
A little segue.
One of. I absolutely love Buc-ee's, but what we're talking about is really important. I want to stay on for a second. So,
well, Buc-ee's is important too.
Buc-ee's is important too, but I think all this goes to show, and let's work this into it. This is a bottle of espresso, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
That is, obviously I'm very involved in the pre-batch phase, and my justification for doing that, so organising a system where we're pre-batching espresso, is that you don't have to have as expensive of a setup for the next cafe that you open. No. You don't have, your operating expenses will be lower because you've organised the system so much that you can just pump it out really quickly. Yeah. And that's kind of where it's all headed. And for us, it doesn't make sense. Well, it's not viable to have lots of staff because the cost is so much higher than it is at other places around the world. That has its benefits, having a living wage and healthcare. But it also is kind of bringing into the question the viability of shops in Australia now, because we don't have this. The thing about America is you're so competitive against the rest of the world, because the systems here for energy, for example, are so substantially set up compared to what we've got.
Oh, really?
So I was talking to a guy the other day in Houston. Now, Houston's probably a particularly acute example of this, but...
Energy capital of the world, you mean?
Yeah, so, he has a factory that was being air-conditioned 24/7, running multiple stronghold roasters. Mm-hmm. This is the guy who owned Chronicles.
Oh, yeah.
And
oh, yeah, I know that building, yeah.
And that's probably... I couldn't even tell you how big that factory is. It's compared to my cafe, which is 38 square meters.
You lost me at the square meters.
So,
We don't do
but
metric.
anyway, so
You know better.
it's probably half the size of this room we're in now.
Okay.
And his electricity bill is lower than mine.
What?
And so you've just got these systems set up where not only do you have this cheaper electricity, particularly in that area, where there's also lower state income tax or no state income tax, but you've got access to ports and you've got the close proximity to Central and South America. And so your costs for a lot of these things are substantially lower than what ours is. Plus, you've got the, in Australia, obviously we've got the Australian dollar, which has been very weak comparatively to the USD. So our Australian dollar at the beginning of the year was 59 US cents.
Okay.
Buying 59 US cents. It's now 70 US cents. So it's
wow,
gotten
coming
slightly
on up.
better. But that means for the last 2 years we've been paying just because of the currency, nothing like a roaster's done. Because of the currency conversion, it's been really hard on coffee roasters.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it's just, I was saying to you before, it feels like when one cafe closes in Melbourne, 3 more open. And so the laws of economics, demand and supply dictate that the higher there is of competition and a fixed level of demand, the prices are going to stay pretty low because people have got so many options. And so and that's one of the reasons why I did this. I arranged this system, and that's one of the reasons. Sadly, I feel like coffee globally will experience this. The future of the coffee shop. It just means there's less staff. I don't think customers will ever accept a no human cafe.
Right. We got to talk about it being the pandemic effect. What we're going through right now is the pandemic effect, right? The reason, we started, this project, Gerald, which Gerald is the skeleton guy on the Madlab logo, just so you know. Okay. That's his name. He's Gerald. The reason we did this is because there were so many restaurants and bars struggling around LA. And they're struggling, and then you had coffee roasters and coffee people going around LA saying, hey, if you want to do coffee right, you got to buy the $15,000 machine, you got to buy the $3,000 grinder, you got to get the $3,000 water system, you got to hire me as your consultant to consult for the consulting of the consulting things, right? And it's just...
Seen that South Park episode?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad.
But then you have to do the plumbing, you have to do the electrical, you have to, submit your plans to the city, and there's all this cost. Before it's all said and done, it's like 50 grand just to do a coffee person's version of this is the correct way to do that.
I went to a pizza restaurant last night in Los Angeles that had a 2-group Mavam and a Mythos 1. And I was there for probably an hour and a half.
I know the place.
Don't think I heard a coffee being made at all.
No.
It's just, restaurants like that do not need a substantial coffee setup.
Let's just be realistic. These places are opening up at 5 p.m. to do dinner service. How many coffees are you going to make at nighttime? How many are you going to do? Unless you're serving decaf on that grinder.
2, maybe 3.
Two, maybe 3. So you're spending 50 grand to make 2-3 drinks for service? Get out of here. Unless you're doing tiramisu or, you're doing affogatos for a dessert menu, it's a waste of money for most restaurants and for most bars. What this helps with restaurants and bars with is hey, if you need it, you got it. We have bakers that use this for just tiramisu instead of going, we used to have a baker that came by one of our locations that's I need 40 shots of espresso because I'm making tiramisu at the bakery. And we used to have to just pull one after the other, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. Until one day I was hey, you can just buy a bottle of this. And she's oh my gosh, this is so much easier. It's way more cost effective, and it is for them. And it's more consistent too, for restaurants and bars especially. Now, if we're talking coffee shops, this is where I've been going back and forth with pre-batch, because there is coffee, especially in LA, is split into 2 different groups. You have the wine coffee people, and you have the cocktail coffee people, right? Cocktail coffee people, this is where you go to their menu and it says oh, here's my banana bread latte, here's my matcha Power Rangers dirty shot sunshine latte. They got 8 different dessert drinks on their menu. that their customers, their guests, their neighbors, their community, they love. That's why they have it on their menu, right? And that's the type of service that they have, because they've listened to their neighbors and like, our neighbors asked for this is what we're gonna do. And that's where something like pre-batch especially, I think, works really, really, really well. But then there's this pure side of me. There's this, what is the correct way to say it for me? This pie in the sky side of me, where there are the wine coffee people, but they really want to highlight where the coffee comes from. They want to highlight, how something was processed, how it's different. They want to, highlight the person who grew that coffee. I come from a farming family. I come from a family of farmers. Me and agriculture farming, like, we know each other. I didn't want to, but we know each other, and I get that there's this part of the coffee industry that really wants to tailor make an experience for someone. Like we're talking with fine dining, they really want to make this experience, and they say, hey, here you go. The only problem is with the wine coffee people, a lot of times they just do a bad job. And I don't think they mean to. A lot of times they're serving coffees that they roasted very badly, that they didn't have this intentionality behind it of what they enjoy. They had this intentionality of, this is how these people over here say that we should present it. And it's almost like this failed mimicry that happens a lot of times with these wine style coffee shops. Whereas you look at the cocktail coffee shops, they're just having a lot more fun, and so are their guests.
Yeah.
And I think there's a place for both, and I think there's a way to do both very well. Like I've talked about doing pre-batch at Madlab in a very specific setting. I'm still always going to have an espresso machine, because absolutely, I want to always have an espresso machine on my counter, because that gives some of my neighbors and the community that we serve, that gives them some joy. And they know that when we're behind that machine and we're doing something, that we're taking care of them. And that's something we don't always talk about in the coffee world.
Yeah.
A lot of times, a lot of everything we talk about is from barista down to farmer, right? We talk from crop to cup. But we don't really talk a lot from crop to guest. And the guest is the one who actually supports everything. Like, it's a pet peeve of mine that everything, pisses me off. Everything is the roaster's fault. Everything in the coffee world, everything that goes wrong, it's the roaster's fault. Like, why is this bag not this price? Why are you not paying this price? Why aren't you getting this coffee? Why aren't you doing this thing? Why aren't you providing that thing? It's always the roaster's fault. When you look at all the threads, when you look at all the Reddits and the Instagram comments, it's like, well, if a roastery was actually doing a good job, they would be doing this. You know what? I want to see what roastery you run.
Yeah. Well, I don't use Reddit at all, but from what I gather, it's pretty significant in the American coffee scene.
Yeah.
It has heavy influence on it. And
a lot of it is really cool. I have fun on like coffee Reddit stuff, but then I am on it and I can tell that somebody is what I call a bedroom barista. It is somebody who just makes coffee in their bedroom.
Yeah.
And they're not supposed to understand. But there are some things that only make sense when you work behind a bar in a commercial setting. They're just only some things. Like, we had a guy who's like, why don't you put a screen, why don't you put a diffuser screen on top of your puck whenever you're playing shots? I'm like, because I'm gonna lose that in the knockbox, my guy. In the middle of the rush, I'm gonna forget that sucker is there. And you're gonna tell me to slow down so I don't forget that? Yeah, cool. You listen to Kathy yell at you because she's waiting 10 minutes in a line. Like, no, we gotta choose things here. We gotta figure out what's important, what's not, and kind of pick our battles here.
Yeah.
And so there's parts of like coffee Reddit that I absolutely love.
Do you think that the thing, because I made this sort of caricature clip about home baristas the other day, and it was kind of saying like, can you make me a light roast washed filter coffee? And I was ripping off Americans, and a lot of people really resonated with it, because it's like, well, I think the thing with home baristas is they actually competently can make a pretty good cup of coffee these days.
Yeah. No, they're like some of the best.
Yeah, well,
like, honestly, I'm going to be completely honest. I'm going to piss off some professional baristas here.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of home baristas. I go to their place, they're like, dude, try this. I'm like, dude, that's gas. That's so good.
But being fair, they can make pretty good cups of coffee because there's so many resources now. A lot of home baristas actually have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like people that work in high-paying jobs, they buy good espresso machines. It's a hobby for them.
Yeah.
And I think they want to be part of the community.
Yeah.
And that is going and having dialogue with...
And they deserve to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's going and having dialogue with other baristas at coffee shops. Where it kind of gets a bit curly is when you're telling them what to do with their job.
Yeah.
So I was just at a sandwich shop in Beverly Hills this morning. I went to a sandwich shop, and there was this lady that, she had the Gucci handbag and, the big old lips, let's just say. And she was sort of telling the staff there, and by the way, my sandwich was awesome. She was telling the staff there, you need to have this type of salt and this type of olive oil, because that's what they do in Italy, and I know you'll get so many customers if you do that. Just kind of really lecturing the staff on what they needed to do. And obviously we have a coffee equivalent of that, and it's like, you can't actually do all these things in a barista job. Like the modern barista has quite a few things they've got to do.
Yeah.
And so that's where I feel like the home barista has a bit of a disconnect with.
Yeah.
And for all well intents and purposes, they want to be part of the coffee community.
Listen,
we should welcome them.
And listen, they're the nicest people in the world because they have this discovery that they are able to do because of, like you said, like it's a hobby. So you can have a lot more fun with the hobby. I've met so many, bedroom baristas who they said, I want to start a shop. Then they start a shop. They're like, man, I hate this. It's like, yeah, because there are other challenges out here that you did not have when you were having this on your kitchen counter. There are other issues here. Like, yeah, you can take your time, make sure you're dialed in, create this God shot over and over and over again because you're not against the clock.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Try doing that while you've got to make a nice matcha, whisk it up, and you've got 3 of them on order. Then someone orders 3 pour-overs. Then you've got to make the shaken espresso over ice, and you're the only barista on that day because someone wasn't called in. Someone else called in sick.
All the while, you're having to take apart your grind by weight Malkin egg, clean the flapper on it, and then talk to a lady why her rewards points are going in. All the while, somebody walks into your shop and they're like, "Hey, can I use the restroom?" Even though I didn't buy anything. All the while, LAPD's outside. They're like, "We're looking for an individual here." All this stuff happens at once, and it's like, as much as I want to do this special thing for you, the way that you want it done, I can't do it in this setting all the time. Not all the time. I want to nerd out with that person. I want to talk about their experience versus my experience versus their mileage versus my mileage. But sometimes it's just like, y'all,
it's not always possible.
It's not always possible. It's not. And I think my biggest frustration sometimes with the home barista community is being yelled at. It's just, I hate being yelled at. It's like, well, why don't you roast this way? Because I don't want to. Why don't you roast like this roaster? Because I'm not that roaster.
Well, that's the thing. These are people that not only have good espresso machines and good grinders, they now have coffee roasters at home as well. Yeah. And there's services where you can buy small amounts of grains.
And I think the home barista community, by and large, are your very your Kiss of Fire ultralight roasters. I call them Kiss of Fire roasters. It's just your coffee just has a little bit of a kiss of fire on them, right? You're just maybe at first crack. Even there's some ultralight roasters that are pre-crack, and boggles my mind. But people enjoy that, and I never want to diminish something that somebody enjoys. But I think they got to understand why they are able to enjoy that. It's because that style of coffee roasting is equipment gated. You have to have the right equipment that does the right things to get the best version possible out of that. I honestly, I don't think I could take a bag of Kiss of Fire ultralight coffee to my house and brew it in a way that I would enjoy. I know that if I have all those tools and I take it to the cafe and I really work with it, I'll be able to get it to a place that I'm like, oh, I get everything that they're talking about on this Reddit post. But I think for the vast majority of people, I think the quality of a coffee that was roasted expertly is a coffee that tastes good no matter how you brew it. I think that is in my mind, that is the testament of somebody who is a master roaster. When you can take a coffee roaster's coffee, brew it on whatever. You want to take it camping and like smash those, seeds with a rock and put it through a sock and dip it in a pot of boiling water and it still tastes great. The roaster probably did a pretty damn good job. And the person that they bought that coffee from probably did a damn good job in how they maintained that crop for it to be that juicy or that clean or whatever tasting note that you want to whisper into the air.
Yeah.
I think workability in a coffee, I think we need to focus on that, not I have to buy this equipment to get this product out of it.
Well, I was really impressed when I was in Boston and met George Howe because
love him.
He's someone that's
he's an idol of mine. Well, I shouldn't say idol. So sorry. He's a man I greatly respect. Right? Great dude.
But he's so focused on getting the most out of one individual coffee, which is something I find really impressive. And the example, I did a podcast with him. We were having some Kenyan Mamuto estate, which he buys exclusively. Yeah. And he's just like, he had denied a roast being sold the week before. He's like, we're not sending that out. And then he was saying he wasn't quite happy with the one we were drinking. I'm like, George, this is pretty damn good. Like, I haven't had a Kenyan like this in quite a while. I was like, I know it can be better. And it's just like, in a world where we're getting into cream foams and matcha and, all this other shit, I really appreciate that there's someone still there flying the flag for let's do our processes and our foundations better. Yeah,
and I think it's been a weird thing because when I was coming up in coffee like 10 years ago, George Howe, like anything that he did, you saw it everywhere, and it was so attractive. It tasted so good. It really inspired a lot of us to get into coffee roasting. And there's sometimes I'm on forums and people are like, George Howe, it's okay. I prefer this like coffee over here. And they kind of like, in a roundabout way, they kind of shit on it. And it pisses me off a little bit because my mother, bless her heart, God rest her soul, during Hurricane Harvey in Houston, she rallied the troops to get support for our community during Hurricane Harvey. Our whole town flooded. And she reached out to me. She's like, Andrew, I think it'd be a really cool thing to get coffee donated from you and all of your friends and send it to us. And we brew coffee from everybody because coffee gives people a sense of normalcy during times of disaster. That's what it does during the fires here. That's what we did. We just showed up and we gave out coffee. During disasters, coffee, it creates a sense of normalcy, a sense of calm. Kind of makes it kind of feel like, okay, well, this is something from my regular routine, my morning ritual. So this feels kind of normal. That's what coffee does during those times. And so I said, okay. And I just reached out to a few friends. I said, hey, I'm going to be sending coffee out to Houston. Let me know if y'all want to jump on board with it. I didn't even reach out to George Howe. I didn't know anybody over there. I didn't know anybody that knew anybody over there. My mom calls me that next week. She goes, Andrew, you just have to tell your friend George, thank you so much. I was like, what are you talking about? Who? George who? She's like, Mr. Howell. I was like, what happened? It's like, I have 200 pounds of coffee right here right now. They sent 200, because they just heard about it, sent 200 pounds over just for hurricane relief people. And where that coffee ended, there's a man that lived down the street from us called Mr. Ludicky, curmudgeon of an old man. I mean, he was a mean cuss, but he was kind of driving his airboat around to like get people what they need and supplies them. Mom had given him a cup from George Howe. And this man grew up on gas station coffee, like the darkest of the dark. Like Waffle House was like gourmet for him. And he had that cup of coffee, and the dude sat in his airboat, and he's like, Edie, my mom's name, this is the best cup of coffee I've ever had in my life. The dude started a subscription with George Howe after that because he had something. He encountered it for the first time, not in this way that we intended for it to be shoveled out. My mom was making this on a percolator from a gas station. And even still, that coffee, no matter how it was brewed, it's so workable and it tasted good. And the guy who encountered it changed his entire coffee drinking ritual for the rest of his life. He bought that coffee until the day that he died. They found his family was saying they found 30 pounds of George Howe in his house when they were cleaning it out after he died. So the dude was drinking George Howe after death.
Yeah. Well, and isn't that, I think that's such a good kind of point that you raise about George, the man himself, because, and his family, his whole business is really a reflection of how the guy is. Everyone's happy there. Everyone's well looked after there. He's ordering turkey sandwiches for everyone. He's asking me, do you need me to come pick you up? Because he's a little bit outside of Boston. I just think, and we were in the podcast, and a little bit, when we weren't recording, he actually started crying at the end of the podcast we were doing because he's really kind of fearful of the world that he's going to leave behind when he dies. And he's 81 now, so he's in the back end of things.
He's at that point.
And so I just found that so special about him. Someone that genuinely cares not just about coffee but humans more broadly. And that what that anecdote you just described is a good example of him as a human being. And I think to that end, I think coffee has got to be the best industry in the whole wide world.
It is.
We all have our fights and we all have our, tiffs about fucking pre-batched espresso and shit like that.
But it's choose your battles.
But it's got to be the most communal thing in the entire world because, a coffee person will... And put me in this example. Put me in this boat, for example. I've just been to Austin, right? I didn't book accommodation when I was in Texas. I kind of thought I'll freestyle it. Nolan Hirth, the owner of Proud Mary, just let me stay at his house.
Yep.
For 5 days. That saved me a lot of money.
Texas.
Just a dude. And that's someone who, I met him 10 years ago, and he's just been like that from day one with me. Just been an absolute legend. There's, Davey Ball in Nashville. We just hung out for 3 days straight. And he just drove me around. We took Claudio Martinez, shout out to him in Miami. Again, he's someone that's been through a lot. He was almost homeless. He was borderline homeless when he was living in Los Angeles, moved to Miami, started a roastery. Amazing story. I felt like the guy would give me the clothes off his back if I needed it. And this is the coffee industry more broadly, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think the black eye that the coffee industry is giving to itself is we just keep picking fights with each other for no reason. It's not that deep. It's not that deep. Honestly, the people who yell at you because of pre-batch, calm down.
Yeah, there's bigger things going on.
Calm down. Go vote, okay?
Yeah.
What are you doing? We're talking about pre-batch. People going to Scott and being like, technically. Stop. Nobody enjoys that. And you could be talking about something positive. Instead of telling me what you're upset about, tell me what you're excited about. Tell me what you're proud that of something we've been doing. One thing I'm proud about? How great coffee tastes now than it did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm proud that we're paying farmers more now than we were 10 years ago. I'm glad we're all more knowledgeable now than we were 10 years ago. We got to pat ourselves on the back for just a second for even being able to be this nerdy about things and to fight each other over things that we cover in 8th grade science. Let's just be honest. A lot of stuff in the coffee industry that we're like, well, this is pretty technical stuff. It's 8th grade science.
Yeah, well, and I totally agree. I think we get so caught up in this storming of teacups and forget what actually matters.
Yeah.
Speaking of storming of teacups, I pissed some people off in San Francisco this morning.
Did you?
So I posted I've been doing these character videos because growing up, I've always been really good at doing voices and stuff like that, and accents and stuff like that. And I made one about tech workers getting into coffee in the Bay Area. And because, like, I watch a lot of, I guess, videos about, like, Steve Jobs and
Silicon Valley stuff.
I follow a little bit of that. And I do know that San Francisco is a very progressive area.
Oh, yeah.
And
California.
And I introduced a video saying my pronouns were coffee. And it pissed some people off.
Yep.
But the irony of it is, like, the whole intention of the video was to talk about how someone from a background where they make a lot of money, once they reach that retirement level of wealth, can just ditch what they're doing and open a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And they're the biggest thing since, Jesus rose again. And what kind of hurts me about it is that someone who has been grinding for 10 or 15 years, no healthcare, huge commitment to the coffee industry.
Can't do that.
They can't do that. And that's kind of, lost in translation a little bit. And, I've read the lines. You reap what you sow. But it's crazy to me that people telling me that I should be cancelled and eat a bag of dicks for that, rather than like the injustice of the other things that go on.
Of like late stage capitalism that you're kind of talking about.
Yeah, and it's particularly prevalent here in California as well.
Oh, yeah.
We just drove through Skid Row. Like, that's a complete and total failure.
It's the only city in the world where a millionaire and somebody with like absolutely nothing are on the same sidewalk.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And like, America's got so much money in it that, there's a moral argument to be had that should not happen. Yeah. And I'm not saying that if you give everyone a home and money that they're all going to spend it wisely, and that some people won't, relapse to drugs or something like that. I understand that some people are entrenched in that lifestyle, and it's for a variety of complex reasons that I don't judge people.
There's everybody for every version of the argument that everybody makes.
Yeah, but the thing is, in Australia, someone can, and it kind of alludes to what that we were talking about earlier, is that someone can work in the coffee industry for a long time and save money and do that.
And have a life.
I don't think that's really available here, and I think that, the VC-backed guy or like someone that's just, got a shitload of money and they're a home person, like, fuck it, I'll open a cafe. They can do it. Yeah. And, I'm not saying that that's illegal, that's wrong, or that people should go burning pitchforks against them. I'm just saying it's a terrible shame that someone else who can't really do that and makes like $500,000 to $1 million a year can just go in and do it. It kind of rubs me the wrong way. I'd rather the person that's been grinding get into it.
Yeah, well, and I think the reason why a lot of, the guys who, we call them the tech dudes, the Silicon Valley guys, they're everywhere. I mean, especially in California. Like, I see, there's a Patagonia vest. Okay, there he is. You can just spot it pretty quickly. Somebody who's like, this is my Porsche. This is my exotic car, my BMW this. Like, all those Bay Area guys and Silicon Valley dudes that, like, made their money in tech, they're all really into cars. You can, like, go to the Peterson Museum on, like, any given Tuesday and you find them all in the wild there, But it's... I think there's also a part, too, where baristas that have worked behind bar for so long, I think also they've seen the people who have owned cafes, and I think there's part of them that are like, I don't want that. I don't necessarily want that. I kind of like what I'm doing here, too. It's a very real thing that and I can say this confidently, and in Los Angeles especially, the average amount a cafe makes per day in Los Angeles? Average. Just take a guess.
2,000?
About $400 a day. That is the average amount of money that a coffee shop in Los Angeles makes per day.
I feel like the rent would be more than that.
Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Depends. A lot of the rents out here right now are percentage rents, and a lot of people just kind of bear the brunt of it, and they just figure out how to survive. A lot of these tech dudes that you talk about, they start their coffee shop. And I'm like, yeah, this is my gig. I had this person like design it. I have this wood here on my walls, and I have this stainless steel countertop, and look at my lighting. Right? They do a really great job making a really great looking coffee shop or cafe, but they don't survive. I've seen a lot of the Bay Area dudes, and I hate to say Bay Area dudes, let's just call them tech dudes. I've seen a lot of the tech dudes that come in with money. They fail. They fail very quickly. They run out of money. They can only sell so many of their cars until they're like, I have no more cars to sell to keep floating this, because they don't know how to run the business. But then there's two people that come into mind that have been baristas for a very long time in LA. And they started their business with nothing. I mean, they bootstrapped it. They didn't know the language and the lingo. They didn't know how to negotiate leases. They didn't know how to sign up for loans or, do taxes or to do payroll or any of these, et ceteras in running a business. But because they had this passion of wanting to serve their neighborhood and wanting to serve their community, that's their number one thing. It wasn't about having the most good-looking architecture digest space. They aren't trying to get on any list. They're just trying to serve their neighbors. Dude, they're popping right now. They're doing so well. They're growing. Because more than anything else, yeah, you have the fancy looking shop with the fancy equipment, and you pay to play, you hit up all the food writers, and then they write about you like top 10 and top 15 coffee shops in LA. Yeah, you get on that list, fine, whatever. That's not where people are going consistently. They'll go there for, that little moment while you're trendy, while you're viral. But they always end up back at the neighborhood spot where somebody remembers your name. They remember your order. They remember your dog's name. They have treats for your dog. And they're okay with you sitting in the space for longer than 15 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I just, and that's kind of very emblematic of the coffee industry in general, right? It's just not a good, I see sometimes celebrities as a side hustle, make a coffee brand and stuff like that.
Oh, I have stories for you.
It just doesn't work like that, just people, coffee's, and I think everything that we've spoken about today kind of substantiates what I'm about to say, which is coffee is an industry based off emotion and not pragmatism.
Yes.
Because, if you were to be pragmatic about it, then, robot arms would be making all of our coffee today.
Oh,
really?
If you were realistic about having a coffee shop, it makes no sense.
Exactly. But it's so much more about emotion. And that's why you see a lot of, in a way, pseudoscience as well. There's positives and negatives to it all, but I honestly think that's substantially true.
I got two mantras that I tell anybody who gets hired at Madlab. I drive these two mantras into them, and I say, you got to understand this if you're going to be here, right? This is more important than dialing in. This is more important than your milk doodles that you're doing, okay? We have two mantras. The first one is, you have two options in this life. You can love people a whole lot more or a whole lot less. I want you to choose a whole lot more. That's the first one. You have to make that conscious choice that when you are interacting with somebody and you're having that time with them, I'm going to choose to love you a whole lot more, even if you don't deserve it. I'm going to choose to do it. The second mantra seems to be the one that my crew has kind of ingested the most. Be the person you needed when you were younger. When I moved to LA, I was lost. I was broken. I didn't have my ish figured out at all. I came here because honestly, I'm either I figure it out here, I don't figure it out anywhere. And people in this city embraced me. People in hospitality here embraced me. They took care of me. They looked after me and my wife. And they said, hey, do you have food at the house? Don't. Here, take this. Come back tomorrow if you don't have anything to eat. I had neighbors taking care of me. I had neighbors helping me pay bills. I had neighbors giving me odd jobs. I had the local coffee shop that was standing in the gap for me and making sure I could eat. when they couldn't afford it themselves. Even still 10, 15 years ago, dude, rent here wasn't any cheaper.
Yeah.
It was still a high cost of living. We are on the West Coast. And we look at just kind of, these talks that happen either on the internet, on podcast, or in real life. Like, why would anybody choose to do this thing called coffee? It's because we want to take care of our neighbors. And it's either you get it or you don't. And I think the shops that are focused more on, the washed processed coffee, that they just have to get perfect, and they miss the person that it's going to, we've missed the whole point of serving. It is hospitality. That is what we do. And if we aren't serving others, we're just serving ourselves. So if we're just serving ourselves, why have a coffee shop? Why? Why not just have a great setup at home, do it beautifully every single day, have that moment of like, this feels good. Maybe it's because people need that praise of like, no, you really do a good job of coffee. You're like really good at this. Some people need that. Some people need to be told that they're good at something, and maybe that something is coffee. But that doesn't equate to success in the coffee world. I think the biggest, especially in LA, what makes you successful in LA is surviving.
Yeah.
It's not thriving. Very few places here in LA thrive. Very few. But the places that survive, like, dude, I have no idea how we've survived over a decade. I have no idea. No idea. I was like, we should have wrapped this up a long time ago. But I think it's because we do our best to take care of people on the other side of the bar, and we do our best to take care of each other behind bar, that we've made it this long. Sometimes we get it right, sometimes we get it wrong. Yeah, but at least we're trying.
If I can ask from like an outsider's perspective on California more broadly. So back home in Australia, like I wouldn't get the full picture of California, right?
Right.
So, but it's been, it took me coming here to realize how different each city and each state is in both physical and mentally. But I think California has a fair few similarities to where I'm from in Melbourne, the state of Victoria. So during the COVID pandemic, we were locked down when no other state was, and the country was kind of against us. And I think it kind of rallied everyone within the state to be like, well, fuck you. And I feel like...
How American of you.
Well, I kind of feel like California is more or less the same. Like, I think here it's very progressive, obviously.
Yeah.
But a lot of people from outside of California attack it.
Yes.
And you come here and it's like, well, actually the people are really nice.
Yeah.
And they're really welcoming, and there's a sense of unity among that. And there's crazy shit going on here all the time.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like, whether it's, you had the fire in the Palisades, which looked absolutely disastrous.
Altadena and the Palisades.
Black Lives Matter, the ICE protests as well. I could go on and on, but there's always some crazy shit going down here.
There is.
And I feel like that kind of, and when you're dealing with that, and your cousins or whatever from other states aren't really helping, they're just adding to the fire, it kind of hardens you all to be more united within each other. Is that somewhat true?
In Los Angeles, we take care of each other. And there's kind of this thing in LA right now, we are a revolving door for everybody else in the country. We have everybody from any state that you can think of. They come and live in LA for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and they get what they want, and they get out of LA and they move back home, right? Or they move somewhere else, or they go to a suburb, right? But the people who stay here, that they do life here, we do things that, they won't make sense to everybody else, but they make sense to us. Like, we're gonna do what we're gonna do. Like, if there's a protest going on, guess what? We're open. We're gonna serve our neighbors. We're gonna make sure they're taken care of while they're protesting. Like, and honestly, if you're protesting, a hot cup of coffee, not something bad to have in your hand. Just saying. Just saying. And so we have this, not this camaraderie, I think in LA. I think we have this support for each other that people just don't understand, because we all struggle together. We're all surviving together. There's very few of us that are like thriving together. We're all surviving this city together because we want to be here, because we love this city. There's just something about it, something that just gets in your crawl, that you're just like, I love the people here, and I want to just give back, even when I don't have something to give, even when it doesn't make sense for me. Especially the coffee people in this town, dude. We support people in a way that does not make sense. Like, we legitimately can't afford it, but we find a way to do it. We find a way to rally around somebody who's struggling, and we're like, yeah, don't worry about it. We got you. Like stand up. You're going to stand up right between us, and then we're going to go forward together. And we lean on each other. And I think that just, maybe we can call it trauma bonding. Maybe that's what it is, but I think that's why it doesn't make sense to anybody else in the country. Whether it's the East Coast, it's the Heartland, it's the South, you don't understand until you're here and you're eating our food, you're drinking the coffee that's here, you're hanging out with the people who are here. You won't understand until you're actually here. It's kind of like even the misconception with the South, right? People talk all the time like how terrible the South is. It's like, okay, who did you meet? Who'd you hang out with? Well, no, I saw something on the internet. Okay, well, that's not going there and experiencing these people. Like, I'm sorry, you have not ever lived or had fun in a way that you know not of, unless you have been at a Waffle House in the middle of nowhere in Alabama at 2 o'clock in the morning. You will find out, like, I guess everybody in this Waffle House is my friend, and I'm going to be with them forever, and we're going to love each other forever. That happens at a Waffle House at 2 a.m., and anybody who knows what I'm talking about, they know what I'm talking about. It's like a special moment in the South. It's like going to Buc-ee's. You have this love for Buc-ee's. Why do you have this love for Buc-ee's? Because it's Buc-ee's. You can't explain it. You don't know how to communicate that to people who haven't been to Buc-ee's. It's the same thing with LA. Well, why does LA do this? Because we do it.
Just on the Buc-ee's thing, it's just like the embodiment of the South. Mm-hmm. Everything is bigger than it needs to be. Yeah. And it's done with love. Like for example, the coffee setup at a Buc-ee's. There's about 5 more coffee machines than there needs to be. Yeah. You could get, but they do it big. There's these brisket sandwiches being, which, by the way, severely underrated. And let me just say this. Another kind of thing that's come out about America since the World Cup's been held here is just like how kind of the world owes them an apology in a way for the way it's been characterized.
They do.
But the food. Yeah. There's a reason why there's so many obese people here. Oh, yeah. And it's not their fault. No. The food is fucking phenomenal. We know how to cook. And, the pizza of New York, the barbecue of Texas, the everything of Nashville. Nashville's got to be the best food city in the world, if you ask me. Whoa. Nashville is putting it together.
Whoa, I got to give you a list after this in LA. I'm just going to say.
I've been here for one day, so I've got some exploring to do. But Nashville, oh my God, the food was good. Austin, like coffee and food is fantastic there. Like so much good stuff, and like every country has jerks. Yeah. Every country has problems. Yeah. But just the way it gets kind of perceived overseas is just like, I think the world will America's image has really improved after the World Cup substantially.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with our food, it's. I think I told you this earlier. Australians are some of the most annoying people that I serve coffee in LA. They really are. They really are. And I don't think they mean to be, but it just happens. But Australians especially, like, oh man, you should have our cafes back home. We have this, we have these toast, and I'm just like, cool. You should like swim back there and have it. We don't have that here. Like, what are you talking about? Or like, oh, you make a piccolo? Like, what do I have to do to get a piccolo? You got to swim back to Australia and enjoy it, because I'm not making that here, right? And don't yell at my crew for not knowing what a piccolo is. Like, what is going on right now?
Australian, and particularly Melburnians, are terrible travellers for that reason. You know, they go up to other cities and like, well, I don't know if you knew this from the moment I walked in the door, but I'm from Melbourne.
Welcome, I've arrived.
It's like Celestial by Ed Sheeran starts playing when the door opens.
Yeah. Dude, that's what happens in LA. Anybody, like, so when Australians come here, it's just like, you're welcome that we're here. It's the same thing with like the Nordic and the Danish people. When they come here, they're like, we're actually God's gift to coffee, so you're welcome. And you're like, nobody asked. Who are you?
The American equivalent of this is when you come to Australia. It's so much different. It's like, hello, I'd like a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, which one? Coffee. It's,
right.
So, I mean, it's probably the lesser of two evils, let's be fair.
Yeah, well, that's just language at that point, right? Like when I'm in France and I go and say, hey, what do you have on batch brew? They're like, what? I'm like, I mean filter. You know?
You want what?
Yeah, you want what? Well, they just don't know what it is. It's just different terminology in different places, right? But if an Australian or somebody from like a Nordic country comes here and I don't have something on my menu that they have on their menus, they look at you and they're like, why? Because we have it on ours, so if you don't have it on yours, it must be wrong. Like, no, you're in a different place. Like, wait, it's like going to somebody else's house and be like, well, I have green carpet in my house, why don't you have it in yours? Like, that's weird.
1 star.
No, yeah.
I've got a take on 1-star reviews.
Okay.
To give a 1-star review, something borderline criminal needs to have happened, or really, really, really inappropriate. It's got to, giving anything other than a 5-star review is really damaging to a business.
Yeah.
Anything that's not 5 stars hurts a business.
I'm sorry, it's deeper than that for me. If you're leaving reviews at all, you're just kind of a weird person.
Ooh.
You're just kind of a weird person. I'm sorry. You're just kind of a weird person if you're leaving any type of review for a business based on what you like. You go to a business, you go to a shop, you go to a restaurant. Why? Because you want to taste their food. You want to taste things done their way. But you're gonna use a review to say like, yeah, actually, they didn't have like this matcha that I like, and so 1 star. We're not serving you the matcha that you like. We're serving you the matcha that we like. Also, why are we leaving reviews about matcha at a coffee shop? That's like going to an Italian joint and saying like, worst Chinese food I've ever had.
You're tickling my armpit here.
It drives me up a wall.
Yeah.
If you have a bad experience, hey, here's the thought. Have you ever thought about just like messaging the business and letting them know, hey, I came in, this happened. Not sure if that's how you do things. If you do, that's weird.
Well, this is the thing that bothers me. If you're the type of person to make a video about, I saw a business in Australia this morning post about. They said, there's a video circulating about our undercooked scrolls. So like
undercooked rolls?
Scrolls.
Scrolls?
So, cinnamon scroll roll. Cinnamon.
Okay.
A cinnabon.
Scroll. I was like, what are we reading in ancient times?
And someone instead of taking it back and getting it changed or messaging the business, they posted a video about it and kind of like slammed them for it. And I hate that shit.
Yeah.
If you go to a restaurant and you've got an issue and you point it out and it's objectively their fault or like something bad's happened, 95% of the time, I like to think they're going to address that and fix it for you and make it right.
Dude,
and you give them that opportunity, they learn from it, they can, you're doing a good thing. If you just go and make a video and slam them, I just can't stand that shit. I just really can't. It says more about you as a person.
Yeah, it's the whole Instagrammer reviewer and like TikTok reviewer, like, come with me as we try the brand new spot that just opened up across town and I'm gonna have this drink. And then they order a drink, okay? This is how insane this behavior is to me. They order a drink. They're making the review about it. They sip it, they're like, yeah, I really didn't like the flavor of it. I wish I would have got something different. So because of that, 1 star out of 5. What is wrong with you? Go back and tell them you did not like the drink. Have them make you something else. Go back and say, hey, I ordered this. Yeah, not my thing. Can I try something else? That person will give you something different for you to enjoy. They will ask you questions. They will say, hey, how can we provide something that will make your experience a little bit better? Say something. But you're gonna make a video?
Yeah, see, I hate this shit. Just to double down on this as well, or sorry, to make a different point on the same subject. If you're a server or if you're a barista and someone does have an issue, address it.
Yeah.
Take it seriously.
Don't be passive. Don't be passive.
Because if you deflect them or if you dismiss them, that's also bad.
My pet peeve. Well, you ordered it that way. Dude, stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
Sometimes you got to just make it again.
Yeah, well, sometimes, they ordered it that way, but they didn't know the combo, all right? They didn't know 1 + 4 = 7 - 8 in this situation for that drink. You should have said something. You should have, you're making, maybe you're doing, a strawberry lemonade, okay? You're making somebody a strawberry lemonade. They're like, oh, can I add some milk to that? Some just regular milk? And you're like, oh, yeah, sure. And you pour that in, and they come back and say, yeah, this milk's curdled. And you say, well, but you ordered it that way. No, that's on you. Acid curdles milk. You should have been like, no, we're not doing this. You know better in that situation as the person behind bar, right? You let them order that way when you should have said something. But then on the guest side of things, everybody wants you to have a good time. Everybody wants you to sit in that space and be like, I'm glad I spent the money that I did on this tasty treat. And then you sip it and you don't like it, why would you not say something? That is insane behavior to me. Yeah. It's insane. It's like going to a burger spot and having a frozen patty.
But it's defamatory. It's defamatory to a business as well. And we live in an economic time where that really hurts. It's got major consequences actually.
No.
You might be preventing someone from feeding their family by doing that shit.
Well, yeah.
You might affect them in that way.
Yeah.
And so it's a horrifically wrong thing to do.
And it comes from this place that everybody's opinion matters. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to get into some kind of ancillary things. I'm probably going to get messages. I'd like to apologize to my wife at this moment. I'd like to apologize to other Americans in this moment, right? This is... for my apologies, what was I talking about? I apologize. My mind went to apologies. What was I talking about?
We're talking about leaving horrible reviews unnecessarily.
Yes.
Come with me. Everyone's opinion matters.
The way that you do it is so much better.
Well, while you cook on that for a second, there's an influencer whose name is Daddy Snacks. I don't know if you've seen him, but
I've been called that so many times.
He reviews the influencers' reviews, like that are negative.
Oh, yeah.
So he calls them out, and it's hilarious. He's so good. He is so good.
Oh, I remember. Sorry, before I lose it.
Let's go.
Everybody thinks their opinion matters, right? So when you watch all these people reviewing, they're giving these opinions so this actually is severely undercooked, or it's overcooked, or this is severely under-extracted or over-extracted. Yeah, the way they roasted this is just this wrong. The way they did their milk texture was this wrong. I'm sorry, what is your pedigree? What makes you an expert? Are you a self-proclaimed expert right now, telling me what I should or should not do? I'm sorry, where's your 10 years of experience? I'm sorry, why does your opinion, why is that so much more valuable than the person behind the guy we saw today? You know how long he's been doing coffee? Over 20 years. I dare somebody in my presence to go up to him and say, yeah, dude, actually, you did this wrong. I would look at that person right then and there and say no, you don't get to say that. You haven't been behind that bar for 20 years. He has. He's doing this out of a labor of love. He's chosen this lifestyle for 20 years to serve other people, and you're going to come in and complain about what? No. Either enjoy it or don't. And if you don't, let us know so we can give you something that you do enjoy. Okay? I'm going to get off my soapbox now.
I like like you when you sober. Not gonna lie.
I'm just saying.
But you know, it's something that really peeves me off as well, and it's like to have a coffee shop that does things that you really like. You have to have the opposite. You have to have something that does something that you don't like, because to appreciate the sun, you need to know what rain is. To enjoy, without bad, there's no such thing as good.
Yeah.
Because if everything was just really good, or the same, then you've got nothing to grade really.
Right. Well, and not everything is for you.
And having those bad experiences again is what makes good experiences so good.
Yeah.
It's like it's part of the equation there, and you know, I just urge people to be a bit more humane when it comes to that, because we live in a totally different world than we did 15 years ago.
We do.
Where the flow of information is, and really the transparency of it is both more abundant than ever, but more cloudy than ever.
Yeah.
So, you know,
you see a lot of that online in the coffee
this information is infecting every single corner of our society.
Oh, no, it is. And even with if we go back to home baristas, right? There was a huge thing a couple weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago, that everybody was really upset that roasters weren't sharing all these very specific, intricate details about processing methods, which I get. Maybe you want to know a lot about the way a certain coffee is processed because maybe you enjoyed it that much, or maybe you didn't. So you want to make sure, I want to know about this so I don't buy this processing method again, whichever breath that you're on. And a lot of us roasters, we had to kind of explain to, these other people that, hey, sometimes we're not even told how these processing methods are done because these are people's recipes. They're not our recipes. We get sent a sample. We say, thank you very much. What is the price? We sample roast it, we taste it, and we're like, what is this? Sometimes all we're told is washed, natural, honey. And we're like, okay, couldn't you expand on that? It's our recipe. Honey is something that's not, and this shocks a lot of new coffee drinkers. Honey is not a universal processing method. Everybody has their own processing for, that type.
Well, even the wash process is not homogeneous.
None of them are.
There's variances between Colombia, Kenya, Burundi, whatever.
Exactly. So a lot of times we're not told those differences because it's their recipe. You don't walk into a chef's kitchen and be like, yeah, but so I'm going to need you to tell me exactly how you made that dish that you got me. No. They're going to say no, that's my dish. I'm not going to tell you. It's their choice if they want to tell you or not. With guys that are doing that work and gals that are doing that work and people that are doing that work, it is their choice if they want to be transparent with that recipe or not, because it's economies. They want to make sure, hey, I figured out how to do something and it's my thing. I want to hold that to myself because it makes me competitive. And a lot of us had to explain this to a lot of these kind of newer baristas that are kind of learning these things for the first time. And a lot of them had no idea. They're like, oh, so they don't tell y'all everything? No. So, sometimes they don't. Sometimes we're lied to about a lot of things. Roasters are lied to a lot, and it's actually pretty funny. I've been sold a $9 a pound Pacamera before. That was a $3 a pound Caturra. That was years ago. But I was like, guys, this is not a Pacamera. They're like, no, it is. They're trying to just gaslight me. They're like, no, it's totally that.
Go do some genetic testing, bro.
Right, and I was just like, no, we're not doing this, guys. Come on. They're like, fine. It caught them, and they're like, fine. But, there's so many things that just... There are things I think that we as an industry can do a better job of having some patience and really taking our time to say, okay, do you want the real answer? Because I will tell you the real answer. You may not like it. You may not agree with it. You may say that's dumb. We'll probably agree about some things and disagree on some other things. But I'm at least going to educate you from my experience about how this thing works that you're curious about. Usually when that happens and you you do it in this spirit of positivity and the spirit of like wanting to share wisdom, and I think that's the key word, wisdom, things are good. Because right now, everybody has information, everybody. Whether it's like what new hot cafe there is, whether it's like, what, coffee people are liking here, like what's the hottest new thing, what's the best equipment, what portafilter should I buy, what screen should I buy, which grinder is best, which burr type, what burr geometry should I try, whatever it may be, we have all this information. But information applied is knowledge, right? When you apply your information, it's knowledge. But when you put that knowledge into practice, it becomes wisdom. And I think that's one thing I've always regretted with my time in the coffee world. I should have shut up a lot when I was learning how to do coffee. I should have shut up and listened to the people that came before me on how they were telling me, hey, you should do things this way. I would have failed a whole lot less if I had all the information. I was practicing, I was getting this knowledge, but I didn't have the wisdom that these people had. I should have shut up and I should have listened to them, and I would have gotten to where I wanted to be a lot more quickly. And I wouldn't have had to learn some of these hard lessons just out of failure. You learn some lessons out of failure. You really do. And a lot of times, like, I apologize to my wife every single day. I'm like, I'm so sorry that I was a moron and I didn't listen to people, and we were like so poor for so long, like, my bad. She's like, it's okay, I love you anyways. I'm like, love you, Sarah.
Shout out to Sarah.
Sarah.
What would your message be to someone that wants to excel in the coffee industry in the US nowadays? Because I think it'd probably be fair to say the playing field's a bit harder now to enter than it was 10 years ago, and that's not because people are closing the door behind them, but more so I think the kind of structuring of society more generally today, and the concentration of wealth, which I've spoken about a bunch of times on this. I think it's an increasingly unfair world for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So it's harder to excel in this industry than it ever was before.
It can be.
So, but what would your message be to someone that wants to grow, excel, and potentially have their own independent coffee business?
Well, after everything I just said, first thing I'd say is shut up a lot more. But realistically, and jokes and humor all aside, I think the best way to get to where you want to be is slowly. Everybody wants to try to learn everything so quickly. They want to just ingest, and they want to take, they want to cram for the final, take the test and be like, I'm the best. They want to study for a Q and be like, I'm a Q creator now. I know everything about coffee. The best way to learn, go to your local shop that you really enjoy their coffee and you really like the way that they treat other people. You like the way that they make you feel as a guest, not as a customer, but as a guest. There's a difference, right? When I invite somebody over to my house, they're not my customer, they're my guest. We don't call people customers at our shops, we call them guests, because that's the correct way to go about things in hospitality, in my opinion, right? I don't see dollar signs when somebody comes in, I see a human being, right? If we did that a whole lot more, honestly, miles ahead. But go work for that shop. Maybe they're not hiring. Who cares? Go there anyways and say, hey, I'm going to be hanging out here until a job opens up. In fact, what can I do here at this shop that you don't even got to pay me for? I want to learn this so much. I'm hungry for it. I'm thirsty for it. I want to get into this. You'll find out pretty quickly that pretty much every single shop owner is going to be like, love that. Love that. I love that hunger. I love that thirst. It's not about the free labor that they're offering, which any owner, they're not going to, if they do, they're weird.
It's not something I'd consent to.
Yeah, it's
like if someone wants a lesson for a few hours and a bit of experience, yeah, whatever. I was like a one-off, sure, but I'm not like having an intern that's unpaid.
No, absolutely not. That's just weird behavior. Just having an intern in coffee, that's just weird behavior. If you're an intern in coffee,
there's better ways to do it.
Right.
You don't need to subject yourself to that.
Right. I mean, even when I was coming up, I just said, hey, I'll work for free. And they're like, okay. and they let me, it was a different time. It was like 2009, right? Maybe more common, or maybe people didn't know that wasn't appropriate back then, whatever it may be. But if you just work that gig, ask questions. Why do you do something like that? Why do you do something like that? And you just pick up every little bit. I'd say the best thing that you can do to learn coffee is don't get on YouTube, but be very selective of what you view on YouTube from the coffee YouTubers. Some of it's really bad advice. Some of it's really bad direction, and it's from people that never had worked behind a bar, And I love James Hoffman's stuff. I think he's a very balanced, and he's a very realistic coffee personality on the web, and his voice is just sexy. Let's just be honest. I want him to do an audiobook so I can just listen to it. And it can be about
Dale Harris. I don't know. Dale Harris is the world barista champion of 2017, British guy, but he's...
Oh, okay, British, there it is.
He's got a meditation before bed voice.
But does he have a meditation before bed? Audiobook?
Oh, no, but
he should get on that right away.
He's got the voice for it.
Oh, just velvet. Oh, love it. Anyway, but people need to be very selective of which YouTube personalities they listen to, because it's not always based in reality. It's based on the perfect conditions that they are teaching from. And I think that's kind of the difference between talking to somebody who's been in pro baseball and somebody who's been in high school baseball. And which one's the high school baseball player, which one's the pro baseball player? I don't know. It depends what you want to get into in the coffee world. If you want to learn high school level, get a high school level coach. If you want to learn pro level, get a pro level coach. Everybody in the coffee industry thinks they need to be the expert. They need to be the main voice of the community. No, you don't. You just need to be the nicest person in your neighborhood serving coffee. And you just need to give your neighborhood what they're asking for. So what is your neighborhood asking for? Are they asking for a high school game or a pro game? I'll tell you one thing, growing up in Texas, guess what's bigger than pro sports in Texas?
College football.
Not even college football, high school football. Have you ever been in a Texas town on a Friday night? Let me tell you what happens.
Not during football season.
Oh, and we're talking football, not football. No, I know that's going on right now, but we're talking American football. Pigskin. Growing up where I grew up, when the high school football game was happening that night, the whole town closed. Everything. I'm talking hospitals, I'm talking the vet clinic, gas stations, restaurants, the churches. Closed. Everything closed because everybody went to the high school, football, field, and we watched people play football. People they went to that more than they went to church, which is saying a lot about Texas. Saying a lot. There's why that show Friday Night Lights is so big. You watch that show and you're like, oh man, no. You would go to the local gas station and the old farmers in their 60s or 70s are like, man, did you see our boy out there going against, Sweeney and East Bernard? Man, he was really looking good on that field. I think he's got a future. I think he's going to get picked up. It is so much bigger. And guess what? That's what that town wants. They all rallied together for the high school football game. They didn't rally to go see the Astros or the Oilers or the Texans or the Cowboys. No, they didn't close down the town for the pro sports. No, they closed down the town for the high school sports. So if you're a coffee person and you're wanting to get into coffee, what is your neighborhood about? What is your community about? You got to figure that out first before you figure out what type of coffee person you're going to be. Everybody thinks, I got to go take the SCA course 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever their tiers are now. They change every 5 to 10 years. I don't even know what SCA is doing anymore.
Well, yeah, I'm starting to wonder myself. I'm someone that's defended them a lot. And,
really?
Yeah, it's getting increasingly hard to do.
Yeah.
Because, don't get me wrong, and I had a really good, interesting conversation with Christopher Ferron about this. And he really great guy. He
Dude cracks me up. The taxes every year.
He kind of explained to me that it's if you actually look at the SCA's charter, their core purpose for being is to host events.
Yeah.
I haven't read it, to be clear, but that's just kind
Well, no, that's just common sense. Look around.
Yeah, and like they're doing a pretty good job of the events, and I kind of feel like the World Barista Championship's getting better as a viewing spectacle and all that sort of stuff. But serving, I just don't know that they're really the governing body that's there to serve the interests of coffee.
No, they're not.
And it's not really their reason for existence.
No.
To be frank. So
like really fun people who work there. Like everybody I've ever met who works at SCA, super nice people. It's like super fun. But they're not there for the coffee industry. And I'm like, do you think that they used to be? Because they never have been here.
Yeah, well, and like they've given me the time of day, to be fair. Giannis has come on my podcast before, and I know a lot of people have a lot
Is he the head guy?
Yeah.
Oh,
a lot of people have had things to say about him and, relating to his salary and how it's huge.
Oh, he's the guy that Chris always posts about that's like making the millions or whatever?
I don't think it's millions, but it's up there.
Is it high 100,000? Is that the guy?
Yes, it'll probably tick over $1 million next year or something at this rate. But,
for a non-profit?
For a non-profit that can't function without volunteers, it's a worthy debate to have.
It's really no debate. It's kind of weird.
It's, I think because this is where the community comes into it, right? Mm-hmm. Even in life, it's not. You can't trust governments to really do everything for you anymore.
Welcome to America, my friend. You've been here 7 weeks. You finally got it.
It's becoming increasingly so in Australia too.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's a global thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to us to make a better industry, and having some good camaraderie, kind of focusing on what the true wrongs and rights are, and who the real enemies are to progress. And I think increasingly so, it's up to us as a community, and not relying on a governing body, because they'll never be run to a 100% of our liking. They'll never be funded to 100% of what they need to be able to do to achieve whatever those goals are.
But let's just be honest, they could be doing a better job.
Everyone can.
I agree. Everybody in their own walk, they can be doing their own small little part to make the world a better place. You can take care of your hometown first.
I do think there's a lot of things where they do make significant effort. Like there's a lot of things where they've tried, and look at the CQI as one example. Like
the what?
The Coffee Equality Institute and training of the changing of the Q grading scoring.
Okay.
They tried to make that better. Everyone else can judge whether or not they did a good job, but I think they really did try to make cupping and assessing a coffee's quality more objective and better and have more breadth than just having a number. But whether or not how effective they were and whether or not that really landed with a lot of people is a different thing.
Yeah, I mean, with quantifying the quality of coffee, assigning a number value to it has always been weird. It's always been weird. You're talking about an agricultural product, and you're assigning a numerical value to it.
We love numbers. We love rankings. We love pitting one thing against another. Like that's just, and you look at YouTube for example. It's like my top 5 best cafes in Los Angeles. That shit gets views. People love that.
Yeah, but I'm a 20-year smoker, right? If we are both around the coffee table right now, let's say I take my Q, you take your Q, we're both passed with Q, right? But I'm a smoker, and we taste this table, and I'm like, bro, this is obviously an 88, and you're like, dude, it's an 85. Which one of us is right? Who gets to decide the numerical value for that? We both have a Q. Me, I guess what? Like my mouth, it tastes like an ashtray half of the time. That's why I'm super attracted to fruity coffees, because it punches through my mouth.
You're looking rather good for a 20-year smoker, I will say.
Stop it. I can't. All right? But when we look at it through that lens, who's right? Who gets to assess the score for that? If we both have the Q, which one? It's going to be whoever gives the higher point. That's how it is. So if I gave the higher point on it, but maybe yours was more correct. I think honestly the only people who need to be deciding what the quality of a coffee is the people who know how to objectively quantify it. we got to figure out a different way than saying like, well, this is the acidity, this is the bitterness, this is the sweetness. Such a weird way to quantify coffee. It really is. And it doesn't, I really don't feel it helps farmers out at all. You know, I can't imagine, you know, being a cotton farmer and somebody showing up like and taking like this cotton and putting different like paint swatches next to it and say, well, actually this cotton is more of an ivory instead of like a blanc or like a pastel white, so it's going to be scored on this. I'm going to have to like score this cotton at a lower. That would be just so weird. But coffee is like the one place who does it. You like even look at wine. It's we have this quantification in the coffee world that I just don't think has a basis in reality or things that matter. Like honestly, I would find the 10 smartest dudes in the room, and lady dudes in the room, and ladies and whoever, the smartest people are in the room. I get Christopher Farron, right, number one. I tap him on the shoulder. Yeah. Right, he's smart dude. I'd get Christopher Hendon. Put him in it. And literally anybody Christopher Hendon else wants to bring in, love him. He's like one of my favorite people. And I would let them come up with a way. Let's listen to the experts. Like we're talking about, like we're giving reviews about something that we want to figure out a better way for there to be more transparency over it. We want to figure out a better way, but instead, it's like we have these super smart people in front of us. Why would we not just tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, you do this? I used to work for a guy that the way that we scored our coffees was based on colors. So we would have a different type of scorecard, where he would have us like shade in, but it would be assigned a color, right? So we would score a color of like, oh, this is our blue coffees. These are our red coffees. These are our yellow coffees. And like red meant like sweet and fruity. Like our blues meant like deeper umami, and our yellows were more acidic. And that's how we like separated our coffee. So there's all these different ways to go about quantification. But here's SCA, they have the resources, they have the people. And they're like, I don't know, maybe like we could slurp louder and like that'll help. Like I'm just so confused about it. Like anybody who's paying SCA dues, what is your money getting used for? A party once a year? I don't look into like what they're. I really don't follow it much at all. But neither do I. I'm coming in completely blind of what I know and what I don't know. But here's what I do know. As a specialty coffee person in LA for 10 years, SA is just down the road 30 minutes. They're in Orange County. You know how many times I've heard from them about like support and things like that? During tariffs, you know what I heard from them? Goose egg. During pandemic, hey, this is how we can help. Nope, didn't hear anything. What are they helping to do? If they're not able to help somebody 30 minutes away, do we really think they're helping people across oceans? I have a hard time believing that. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll get educated. I would like to be educated, but I just don't understand it, I think is my thing. And I've been in this for over a decade, and I still don't understand why we have the SAA besides to have events and to put on competitions. Well, I think that's pretty much objectively its function, and by their own admission too. But I'd love to talk to you about it for hours, but we're about to run out of battery on the camera. Andrew Sinclair here from Madlab Coffee Roasters here in the City of Angels, Los Angeles. Yes. Get yourself some Gerald's Espresso. Oh, yes. I've always enjoyed your videos on Instagram. There's a stairwell here somewhere that you do your little Instagram rants on. So I'm looking forward to discovering that. We're going to take a selfie in it, but absolutely. Buy some coffee from Andrew. Hey, thanks so much. You've been very hospitable in the city. Coffee's fantastic, by the way. Thank you. We're going to have to sign off here. In Australia, the super Australian way of saying goodbye is hooroo. Hooroo? Yeah, so say hooroo. Hooroo. Hooroo, mate. Hooroo. Thanks, everyone.
You can either listen to the third Oatly ad of the day about how you can go to oatly.com and find recipes for the amazing drinks, or read the Future of Taste report, It's from the Future, or learn about the sustainability work, or you can press the 15-sec forward button on your pod playing device. It's totally up to you.